All right, I am now on page 113. This is Module 3, Lesson 2. Understanding the vertical line test. A test called the vertical line test can be used to determine if a relation is a function. The vertical line test states that a relation is a function if and only if a vertical line does not pass through more than one point on the graph of that relation. Okay, so let's look at what they're talking about. It says use the vertical line test to determine if each relation is a function. So draw a vertical line through each point of the graph. Does any vertical line touch more than one point? Okay, it's really hard to see on this one, but there's two dots smashed together right there, and that's what they're talking about. Does any vertical line touch more than one point? And the answer is yes. It's this vertical line that touches more than one point. Since a vertical line does pass through more than one point, the graph fails the vertical line test, and so the relation is not a function. So if it fails the vertical line test, it's not a function. It's still a relation. I mean, it's still a set of ordered pairs, but it doesn't qualify as a function, okay? Okay, so I put a big old epic fail. It is not a function. It's still a relation. It's still a set of ordered pairs, but it's not a function, okay? And they don't actually tell you this in the example, but this is actually going back to page 109, where we put the domain and the range of all these. Remember, we had all these kids of different ages, and they had different heights and whatnot, but we had two different values for 10-year-olds, okay? And we even graphed it here, and we had these 2 points that were smashed right together. Well, that's where the information came from when they did this for the vertical line test, okay? But a vertical line will go through 2 of those points, so it fails the test. So this vertical line test actually goes with the gallons of gas and distance traveled. Yeah, gallons of gas, distance traveled. I don't know why they want you to graph it again, but anyway, it's this same graph right here, okay? So you graph the points, and when you graph them, you get something like this. Does any vertical line touch more than one point? Nope. Touches that one, and then that's a different vertical line. Okay, so does any vertical line touch more than one point? No. Since a vertical line does not pass through more than one point, the graph passes the vertical line test. So this particular relation is a function. Okay, and then why does the vertical line test work? Well, it works because it shows you if there is more than one range value for a given domain value, or in other words, it works because it shows you if there is more than one y value for a particular x value. So for instance, like you go and you work out for 30 minutes, you can't burn both 50 calories and 100 calories. That's 2 different y values for the same x value. You can't do that. Okay, so now it's your turn. Use the vertical line test to determine if the relation is a function. Okay, so I'm just going to use my little index card, kind of search along. There is nothing. I don't see any vertical lines that I can pass through this graph. It's going to hit the graph line twice. So this one passes the vertical line test. It's a function. Smiley face. Nope, that looks more like an angry face. All right, this one, however, quickly fails the vertical line test because pretty much all throughout here I am hitting the graph twice. So if I drew a vertical line here, I'm going to hit the graph here and here. If I drew a vertical line here, oops, that's not very vertical, I'm going to hit the graph twice. I'm going to hit the graph more than once. So this one is not a function. Okay, it might be something else, but it's not a function. Nope. Okay, so the odd homework problems, at least, are going to be yours to do. But I'm going to select one or two of maybe the evens to sort of do as an additional examples to kind of get you started. So I'm going to leave number 1, but notice on number 1, they gave you the relation as a set of ordered pairs. They want you to put it in the table. They want you to make a graph, and they want you to make a mapping diagram. So those are all of the different ways that we can represent that relation. And then it might be nice if you would do the vertical line test and decide whether it's a function or not. Okay, but that's number 1. That's for you to do on your own. Let's look at number 2. The relation represents the place. That's not y'all's bell. The relation represents the place won in a track meet and the number of points that place finish is worth. Okay. So if you finish in first place, that's worth 5 points. If you finish in second place, that's worth 3 points. If you finish in third place, your team gets 2 points. If you finish in fourth place, your team gets 1 point. And if you finish in fifth place, you get 0 points. Okay? You can quickly graph that and do the mapping diagram. All right, so I've taken my ordered pairs. I've made a table of input and output values, or domain and range. I've plotted my points on a graph, and this is why you use pencil, boys and girls, because I had to use whiteout when I messed up. Then I also did a mapping diagram, put in my X or input values, my Y or output values, and notice that each input value is only associated with one output value. So there's a couple of different ways I can tell that this is a function. Number 1, I can see that each input value only points to one output value. It doesn't point to like multiple output values. Also, I can sit here and do vertical line tests, and there is no vertical line that's going to hit more than one of my points. So this is a function. It doesn't ask you to do that, but I'm asking you to do that. Okay? Okay, so they've represented information for a couple of different, or 3 different relations actually they've represented in 3 different ways. This one's represented by a table, this one's represented by a mapping diagram, and this one's represented by a graph. You can state from the information the domain and range in each situation. So I'll do this one. You probably won't see me write it down, so we'll just talk through it. The domain, remember, is your set of input values, 57, 68, 93, and 99. Your Y's are your output or range values, and that's just simply 9 and 2. So domain, I did write it after all. 57, 68, 93, 99. Range, 9 and 2. Okay. Is this going to be a function, Miss Goff? Well, actually it is, because each input value only points to one output value. Okay? This one only points to 9. This one only points to 2. This one only points to 9. This one only points to 2. Okay? I want you to state the domain and range for 3 and 5. That's part of your homework. But I'm also going to ask you, is number 5 a function? And I'm going to say no, it's not. And the reason why is because I can tell if I pass a vertical line here, both of these hit that line, and so it fails the vertical line test. This is not a function. Okay. Okay, and we're going to do 6 real quick, and then I'm going to turn you loose on the rest of them. It says to state the domain and range of each relation, interpret it in context, and explain if it's a function or not. Okay, so I listed the domain, and that's your ages, 6, 8, 9, 11. Remember, 11 occurs twice in the list, but I don't list it twice. I just list the different input values, 6, 8, 9, and 11. Your range is your output values. And I've got 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the range indicates my number of pets. Again, that bell is not y'all's. Okay? So is this relation a function? And the answer is this relation is not a function, because you cannot have 11, which is one of your input values. You can't have an input value have more than one possible outputs. So 11 cannot have a value of 1 and have a value of 2. That's just not going to work. So this relation is not a function. Okay? And the reason why it's not a function is the domain value 11 is paired with more than one range value.